As the landscape of global trade continues to shift, the impending tariffs set to be announced by President Donald Trump next week have sparked significant concern among U.S. allies in Asia. With a focus on countering perceived trade imbalances, these tariffs could inadvertently push American allies closer to China, redefining alliances in the region. On April 2, Trump plans to unveil what he has termed his most consequential round of tariffs yet. This initiative comes just 2 months into his return to the White House, during which he has already imposed duties on a variety of imports, including goods from Canada, Mexico, and China, as well as all steel and aluminum imports. His administration aims to bolster domestic manufacturing by raising the costs for companies that ship products into the U.S. in a bid to address the staggering $1.2 trillion trade deficit recorded in 2024. Trump's strategy includes reciprocal tariffs targeting nations that levy fees on U.S. exports. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has indicated that these reciprocal tariffs will primarily affect the Dirty 15, a group of nations contributing significantly to the trade deficit while imposing substantial tariffs on American goods. While the list of these countries remains undisclosed, it is widely believed to include China and several European nations. The Trump administration's approach underscores a shift toward a more aggressive trade policy with potential repercussions that could accelerate a global trade war. However, the economic implications of these tariffs are already causing ripples in the financial markets. As investors reacted to the anticipated tariffs, the stock market experienced significant declines, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average falling over 700 points. Economists warn that sustained tariffs could lead to higher consumer prices and economic slowdown. Mark Sandy, chief economist at Moody's, cautioned that prolonged tariffs could ignite the fire for a recession, emphasizing that low and middle-income households would bear the brunt of increased costs. In an unexpected turn, Trump has softened his rhetoric surrounding the tariffs, suggesting that they may be less severe than originally anticipated. This pivot appears to be a response to mounting economic anxieties both domestically and globally, as the administration seeks to balance its aggressive trade stance with the realities of potential backlash from international partners. In the face of retaliatory tariffs from Canada, China, and the European Union, Trump's administration is preparing for a tit-for-tat escalation that could further strain relations with key allies. The potential fallout from these tariffs extends beyond immediate economic concerns. Countries such as Canada are already positioning themselves to strengthen ties with other nations, with Prime Minister Mike Carney asserting that the U.S. is no longer a reliable partner. This sentiment resonates particularly in Asia, where nations may increasingly look to China for economic collaboration as a counterbalance to U.S. policies. As the situation unfolds, the international community will be closely monitoring the effects of Trump's tariff strategy. The intertwining of global economies means that decisions made in Washington will reverberate far beyond U.S. borders, influencing trade dynamics and alliances for years to come. The coming weeks will be pivotal in determining whether these tariffs will fulfill Trump's goal of reducing the trade deficit or lead to deeper economic isolation for the United States. With a complex web of relationships at stake, the path forward remains fraught with uncertainty. As both allies and adversaries assess their next moves in a rapidly changing geopolitical landscape. In a notable turn of events, China's manufacturing sector has surged to a 12-month high, buoyed by robust domestic and international orders. According to recent data released on March 31, 2025 by the National Bureau of Statistics, the Purchasing Managers' Index PMI rose to 52.5, signaling expansion in the manufacturing sector for the third consecutive month. This uptick has been attributed to strong demand, particularly in export markets, indicating a potential recovery trajectory for one of the world's largest economies. Strong orders have allowed manufacturers to boost production, which is a positive sign for the economy, said Zhao Qinghe, a senior statistician at the National Bureau of Statistics. This optimism comes as China grapples with a transitional phase in its economic structure, shifting from investment-driven growth towards a more consumption-oriented model. Analysts note that this recovery is critical not only for China but also for global supply chains that have been disrupted in recent years. However, this optimistic outlook for China's manufacturing sector is juxtaposed against the backdrop of escalating tensions in international trade, particularly with the United States. The Biden administration has recently imposed tariffs on a range of Chinese goods, reigniting fears of a trade war reminiscent of the confrontations seen during the Trump presidency. As reported by CNN, while China has expressed a willingness to engage in dialogue to resolve these tensions, it has also signaled readiness to retaliate if necessary. The tariffs are pushing U.S. allies in Asia closer to China's orbit as nations evaluate their trade dependencies and seek to mitigate the risks posed by U.S. policies, warned economic analysts. This shift could lead to a realignment of global trade relationships as countries like Malaysia and Indonesia explore closer ties with China amid the uncertainties surrounding U.S. economic policies. In a broader context, the ramifications of these developments extend beyond mere economic metrics. The strategic positioning of Asian nations in response to U.S. tariffs could reshape regional dynamics, influencing everything from supply chain logistics to diplomatic relations. As Malaysia embarks on harnessing an AI revolution, it is poised to leverage its geographic and economic position to become a critical player in the evolving landscape of global technology and production. As the world watches these developments unfold, China's manufacturing rebound serves as a reminder of the resilience of its economy, even in the face of external pressures. The interplay between domestic growth and international trade relations will undoubtedly shape the next chapter in China's economic story as well as the global economy at large. The coming months will be pivotal, with stakeholders closely monitoring both manufacturing trends in China and the unfolding trade dynamics with the U.S. and its allies. The outcome of these interactions could set the tone for economic stability or further volatility in the years to come, in an increasingly complex geopolitical landscape. The United States and China find themselves at a critical juncture where the need for strategic cooperation and reassurance has never been more pressing. Recent discussions among policymakers and experts highlight the urgent necessity of fostering a stable relationship between these two global powers to avert potential military conflicts. A new report from the Toda Peace Institute emphasizes the importance of reassurance as a conflict prevention strategy, particularly in the context of East Asia, where tensions are rising amid strategic rivalries. The report, following a recent meeting of the Toda Research Cluster, identifies the fragility of the East Asian peace in light of escalating military competition. Kai, the author of the summary report, underscores that reassurance is essential not only for maintaining peace but also for managing the risks associated with military confrontations. The report offers actionable insights aimed at fostering a more cooperative relationship, emphasizing that a strategic approach is vital in navigating the current volatility. Simultaneously, the integration of artificial intelligence (AI) in military operations has sparked significant concerns among experts. With countries like the United States and China ramping up their military AI capabilities, calls for a global consensus on regulating this technology are becoming increasingly urgent. John Tasiulas, director of the Institute for Ethics in AI at Oxford University, warns that while competition in AI is inevitable, it must be accompanied by essential cooperation to ensure that military applications remain under human control, particularly concerning nuclear arsenals. He pointedly remarked, "The annihilation of the human race in a nuclear war is much more likely than annihilation of the human race by robots," highlighting the gravity of the situation. The U.S. Department of Defense has already seen a substantial increase in AI-related contracts, with funding jumping from $261 million to $675 million in just 1 year, according to the Brookings Institution. This trend raises alarms regarding the potential consequences of unregulated AI in military contexts, especially as it pertains to global security. Against this backdrop, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has recently emphasized the importance of the U.S.-Japan alliance in countering China's military assertiveness. During his visit to Tokyo, Hegseth described Japan as an indispensable partner in deterring Chinese aggression, particularly in light of escalating tensions surrounding Taiwan. He announced plans to upgrade U.S. military command in Japan. A move that underscores both nations' commitment to a robust defense posture in the Indo-Pacific region. Hegseth's assurances come at a time when Japan is grappling with its own defense strategy amid concerns over China's increasing military activities. The U.S. Defense Secretary reiterated that America is committed to maintaining credible deterrence in the region, stating, "America first does not mean America alone," as he sought to reassure Japanese officials of continued U.S. support. The evolving dynamics in U.S. China relations, compounded by the military use of AI and the strengthening of alliances in Asia, signal a shifting landscape that will require careful navigation. The outcomes of these strategic discussions and the implementation of cooperative measures may well determine the trajectory of peace and stability in East Asia. As the world watches, the developments in U.S.-China relations and military cooperation in the region will likely influence global security frameworks for years to come. The need for effective communication and shared understanding among nations, especially in the context of emerging technologies and military capabilities, remains crucial in preventing conflicts and fostering a more harmonious international environment.